Her phone buzzes at 9:47 p.m. 3 words: running late, sorry. She reads it 4 times, waiting for a joke that isn't there, and by the 5th minute of silence after that, she's already rehearsing what she'll say if he's pulling away. This is what it looks like when someone with an anxious attachment style loves someone who is securely attached. The alarm still goes off. It just doesn't ring for long, because this time someone answers it. Anxious and secure is the pairing every attachment book holds up as the good outcome, and mostly it is. But mostly is doing a lot of work in that sentence, and the parts it's hiding are exactly the parts that matter if you're actually in this relationship rather than reading about it from the outside. Picture the same scenario playing out with 2 different partners. An anxious person texts someone they're seeing and gets no reply for 2 hours. With an avoidant partner, that silence gets returned with more silence, or a flat, defensive answer when it finally comes, which confirms the fear and restarts the spiral. With a secure partner, the reply eventually lands as something ordinary. A stuck train, a work call that ran over, an apology for going quiet. No drama attached to it, because there wasn't any drama in the first place. That ordinariness is the entire mechanism. A secure partner isn't more loving than anyone else. They're more legible. Their behaviour tracks their internal state closely enough that the anxious partner can, over time, learn to trust the pattern instead of interrogating every gap in it. Consistency is the intervention. Not grand gestures, not constant reassurance, just a partner whose actions and words keep lining up week after week until the nervous system quietly updates its prediction of what happens next. This is why anxious secure couples often look, from the outside, almost boring compared to anxious avoidant or 2 anxious pairings. There's less chaos to point to, less of the highs and lows cycle that gets mistaken for passion in other combinations. What's actually happening is that one partner is regulating in real time and the other is slowly borrowing that regulation until they can do more of it themselves. Take a slightly bigger example than a late reply. An anxious partner brings up something that's been bothering them for a week, maybe a comment their partner made at dinner with friends that felt dismissive. In an anxious avoidant pairing, that conversation often doesn't happen at all, because raising it risks conflict, and conflict risks distance. In an anxious secure pairing, it happens, and it happens without either person treating it as evidence the relationship is in danger. The secure partner listens, doesn't get defensive, and either explains what they meant or acknowledges the impact regardless of intent. The conversation closes. Nobody is still replaying it for hidden meaning 3 days later. That's not a small difference. It's the difference between a relationship where problems get solved and one where they just get postponed. Secure attachment isn't the absence of insecurity in a relationship. It's the capacity to stay steady while someone else's insecurity is active in the room. That's a specific skill, not a personality trait, and it shows up in small, repeatable behaviours rather than one big display of patience. A securely attached partner tends to do 3 things almost automatically. First, they explain rather than withdraw. When something's off, they say what it is, instead of going quiet and leaving the anxious partner to fill the silence with worst-case scenarios. Second, they don't take the anxious partner's spiral personally. A secure partner can hear, "Why didn't you text me back?" without hearing an accusation buried inside it, which means they can respond to the fear underneath the question, instead of defending themselves against the question itself. Third, they hold the relationship steady during a bid for reassurance, instead of either caving completely or shutting it down. They can say, "I'm not upset with you, I just needed an hour to decompress," and mean both halves of that sentence. None of this requires the secure partner to be endlessly patient or infinitely available. It requires them to be predictable. An anxious nervous system isn't asking for constant contact, it's asking for a pattern it can rely on. Once that pattern is established, The anxious partner's baseline anxiety in the relationship tends to drop measurably, even though nothing about their underlying wiring has changed. The environment changed. The wiring is still there. There's also something a secure partner does that's easy to miss because it's an absence rather than an action. They don't escalate. When an anxious partner asks a question that's really about fear rather than information, "Do you still want this?" asked for the 3rd time this month. A secure partner tends to answer the fear rather than getting frustrated at the repetition. That single choice, repeated enough times, is often what separates a relationship that stabilizes from one that doesn't. The moment a partner starts responding to the anxiety with irritation instead of steadiness, the anxious partner's nervous system reads that as the ambiguity it was originally afraid of, and the whole cycle resets from a worse starting point than before. Here's the part that gets skipped in most descriptions of this pairing. A secure partner does not neutralize anxious attachment, it manages it. Those are different things, and confusing them is where anxious secure couples run into trouble they didn't expect. The anxious partner's alarm system still fires. It fires at ambiguity, at silence, at anything that resembles the conditions that built the pattern in the first place, usually somewhere in childhood, usually involving inconsistent caregiving that taught the nervous system to treat unpredictability as danger. A secure partner can shorten how long that alarm rings and how loud it gets. They can't switch it off. Some anxious partners quietly expect their secure partner to be a cure, and when the anxiety shows up anyway, during a stressful week after a minor miscommunication, in the gap before a delayed reply, they interpret its presence as proof the relationship isn't actually safe, rather than proof their own system is doing what it's always done. There's a second, less obvious failure mode. The secure partner can absorb so much of the emotional regulation that the relationship quietly becomes lopsided. Reassurance is easy to give and easy to keep giving, and a patient, secure partner can end up doing that job indefinitely without either partner noticing the imbalance building. The anxious partner gets soothed in the moment, but never has to build their own capacity to sit with uncertainty because someone else keeps doing it for them. Years in, the secure partner can find themselves quietly exhausted, having spent so long being the stable one that their own needs stopped getting airtime, and the anxious partner, still leaning on the same external reassurance they started with, hasn't actually grown less anxious. They've just gotten better at outsourcing it. A third pressure point shows up under real stress rather than everyday friction: a job loss, a family crisis, a period where the secure partner genuinely doesn't have the bandwidth to be as steady as usual. That's when the anxious partner discovers whether they've built any internal regulation of their own, or whether the calm they've been feeling for months was entirely borrowed. If it was entirely borrowed, the moment it's withdrawn, even temporarily, even for good reason, can feel like the floor dropping out, disproportionate to what's actually happening in the relationship. The couples who make this pairing work long-term share one thing. The anxious partner treats the relationship's stability as a training ground, not a permanent solution. They notice the pattern the secure partner keeps demonstrating. Explain instead of withdraw, stay instead of spiral, tolerate ambiguity for a few hours instead of needing it resolved immediately, and they start practicing it themselves, rather than simply relying on their partner to keep supplying it. Concretely, that looks like catching the urge to send a third follow-up text and sitting with the discomfort for 10 more minutes instead. It looks like naming the fear out loud. I know you're probably just busy, but my brain's going to a bad place, instead of either suppressing it completely or acting it out through testing behaviour. It looks like noticing over time that the worst-case scenario almost never arrives, and slowly letting that evidence outweigh the old prediction instead of dismissing it as luck. This is slower and less satisfying than it sounds. The nervous system doesn't update on logic. It updates on repeated lived experience that contradicts the old pattern enough times that a new pattern starts to feel more true. A secure partner can supply hundreds of those repetitions, What they can't do is have the felt experience on the anxious partner's behalf. There's a specific moment worth watching for, because it tends to mark real progress rather than just calmer days. It's the first time an anxious partner catches themselves mid-spiral, recognises what's happening as the pattern rather than the truth, and chooses to wait it out instead of acting on it. Not because the fear went away. It usually hasn't, not yet. But because they've built just enough distance from it to treat it as information about their own history, rather than a verdict on the relationship in front of them. That's the actual work. Everything the secure partner does is what makes that moment possible. It isn't what produces it. Two things reliably damage anxious, secure relationships, and neither of them is the anxiety itself. The first is a secure partner who mistakes their own calm for a license to under-communicate. Security doesn't require constant check-ins, but it does require enough information that the anxious partner isn't left guessing. A secure partner who goes quiet during stress because they don't feel the need to explain themselves, reasonably enough from their own point of view, can accidentally recreate exactly the kind of ambiguity the anxious partner's system is wired to fear, even though nothing is actually wrong. The second is an anxious partner who never moves past needing external regulation and starts to resent their partner for not providing infinite amounts of it. Reassurance has a ceiling. A partner who is asked to prove they're not leaving on a near-daily basis, indefinitely, with no visible growth on the other side, tends to experience that as pressure rather than intimacy. And even a securely attached person's patience is not, in fact, infinite. It just resets more slowly than most people's. Both failure modes tend to show up quietly rather than as a single dramatic rupture. A secure partner doesn't decide one day to stop explaining themselves. They just get busier, more tired, more used to the relationship feeling settled, and communication that once happened automatically starts happening less. An anxious partner doesn't decide one day to demand infinite reassurance. The ask just never shrinks, month after month, until the secure partner notices they're still doing exactly what they were doing in month one, with no sign the underlying fear has moved at all. Neither partner is doing anything obviously wrong in the moment. The damage is cumulative, which is exactly why it's worth naming early rather than waiting for it to become a pattern too established to unwind. The relationships that hold up long-term treat the pairing as complementary rather than as a fix. The secure partner brings the steadiness. The anxious partner uses that steadiness to build something they didn't have before, rather than treating it as a resource to be permanently consumed. If you recognise yourself as the anxious partner in this dynamic, the relationship isn't broken because the fear still shows up sometimes. That's not a verdict on the relationship. It's your wiring doing what it was built to do, in a context that finally gives it room to change instead of confirming it. Anxious secure isn't the pairing where the anxiety disappears. It's the pairing where, for the first time, it has somewhere safe to unlearn itself. Two avoidant people dating each other is a very different story. Because when neither partner regulates the other and neither partner pursues, something has to give. That's next.